Please click on the subscribe button so you get notified when the latest content drops. Now, let's kick it. So, can I actually ask you a question? Now that we're talking about it, why do we not like? What do you think about converting some of the homeless shelter, or not the homeless shelters, but some of the like abandoned buildings into some sort of like homeless shelter? Because that is a big issue out here in Stockton.
Yeah, and it's something that we've talked about for quite some time, and there's a lot of different opinions on that and everything. And well, the thing is, there are like official shelters. There are shelters in the process that are being built now. Uh, as far as just converting, regular buildings, one of the things you gotta deal with is that you're putting people, you're dealing with a population that a larger part of it, the problems stem from drugs. And, you want to take someone who's a junkie, who's a meth head, who doesn't know how to take care of property, and they're going to move in that building. What are they going to do? They're going to destroy the place. And this has happened in other places before. They bust out the walls, windows, urinating all over the place. Santa Paula Way here in Stockton. There's been a couple of homicides on that block this year. I used to live there. These are all townhouses. They're like fourplex units, and they're two-story townhouses. And the rent is hella cheap there, but it's a nasty neighborhood. And there was the one, and they're all each fourplex is individually owned. It's not like it's a complex. So they all have individual owners. Some are out of town, out of state, whatever. And so we had the one fourplex, and it was vacant for the longest time. And so some people bought it, and they did the whole remodel thing. They got loans and whatnot. They brought everything up to code. And what did they do? Instead of going out and finding like qualified tenants that might have jobs and income and stuff like that, they decided they were going to help the poor. They were going to help the destitute and the homeless. And they went out and they found 4 basically homeless groups of people that they moved in there. In less than a year, probably closer to 6 months, I'm guessing, they ran that property back down to being condemned. They did that much damage. So that's the risk. That's one of the risks that you run with these places. I mean, you want to move people into a building that you own that might set fire to it. You know, yeah. So that's what you're dealing with. Down in LA, these where they have these kind of, you know, they have round the clock security staff dealing with these people, which you really need. You need that kind of supervision and staff. Otherwise, yeah, you're going to have a property that's going to be worth nothing.
I was actually gonna say, isn't it possible to actually have something where it is being ran properly by people, like they have down in LA? Because honestly, that would also create jobs for people in Stockton if they're basically babysitting homeless people. I don't know. There's got to be something that we can do to clean up the streets out here. Because honestly, man, there are areas that should be nicer than what they are, and it's just because we have like a large amount of like homeless issues. Like downtown Stockton, in my honest opinion, could be the most beautiful fucking place in all of Stockton, but because of the issues with all the homeless people, it's just that it looks like a dump.
Yeah, and it's a shame. And Christina did allude to some of this the other night, in that there's been a lot of neglect in our previous years here. A lot of areas where previous administrations and leadership kind of dropped the ball, where they could have done more. And so now that they're trying to play catch up for a lot of it. But there are organizations, there are nonprofits that are doing that kind of stuff, and some of them could use maybe a little bit more help. And but then again, you do have shelter projects that always seem to be in the works. There's programs that always seem to be getting funding. There are people that have gotten incredibly wealthy off dealing with the homeless problem, but yet we still have the homeless problem on the streets. So, and I mean, statewide, the state has lost billions that they can't account for, that was supposed to help this problem, that doesn't seem to be, being helped. And so, now we're seeing some push from the federal level that, Trump wants to, enable the cities more and more to clean up the messes and the vagrants and start doing something about it. And
guys, have you heard? Nelson, tell the people.
Shady Mob Productions is an official affiliate of HBO Max. Click on the link in the description and sign up so you can watch hit series like Hard Knocks, Game of Thrones, and House of Dragons.
Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can be notified when the latest content drops.
A big thing was, getting them out of the parks, camping in the parks. So they finally did the Supreme Court ruling and said, okay, now we can get them out of the parks. And so, we're going to see a little bit more movement in that direction. For me personally, we can talk about the homeless issue all day and night. What you have to realize is what's going on here is going on right now in LA, in Oakland, in Frisco, in Portland, in Phoenix, in New York, in Detroit, Memphis, St. Louis. It's a national problem. It's been a national problem. And I've always felt that it's going to have to be addressed nationally before we see any real action on it. And with turning the National Guard loose on the streets and trying to enable cities to do more, I think maybe we're going to see some movement in that direction. But until we see some push nationally, it's hard to imagine that any one city or any one town is going to come up with the magic answer. But then again, it's also now becomes one of these things that every election cycle, this is now another issue that the politicians can say, hey, vote for me. I've got the answer. Yeah. Just like with taxes, just like with crime, just like with, a whole slew of issues has become one more thing on the plate. But what's important to know is that if you look at like a number of issues, crime and homelessness, for example, right here in Stockton, if you were to put this on a chart or like on a graph or an oscilloscope, you would see one solid line over a timeline of years. You can go back a few decades if you want. It's continuous, okay? Meanwhile, the people that have been in office are in and out. Above that line, you would see spikes instead of a continuous line, okay? So in other words, the politicians come and go. It's almost like they can be interchanged at any time, okay?
Guys, join me, Alex the Man Angelov, and check out A&A Radio, where we're going to be talking about the latest and greatest financial news, investments, banking, and personal finance. Check out the channel, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can be notified when the latest content drops.
Guys, you're watching a Shady Mob production. Make sure to follow the Shady Mob podcast, where we break down all the latest content and talk about life. Please make sure to share, like, comment, and subscribe so you can be notified when the latest content drops.